Right, hello, welcome to Viscount Leisure. I'm Charles. I'm going to take you on a quick tutorial video around this Cadiz that we've got here. We'll just go around and make sure that we know how everything operates on the outside and also on the inside as well, just to make sure you know what you're doing. So we start off at the door. Obviously it's the way into the caravan. You've got two full sets of keys with the van as well, with your alarm fobs on there as well. The way they operate is quite simply, you have an on-off button. So we set the alarm, we press once and we press it again to deset it, all right. Door's held back on a clip, all right, that's how we release it and that's how we hold it back. It also is a stable door is there as well, so we can only close half of the door to, you know, if we want to. When we're inside, we want to lock the caravan, all right, inside up to the red dot, that way no one can get in from the outside, but you can still open it from the inside, okay. We've got a locker going in under the bed here, all right. It's just using the same key here to one side. Push the button and there she opens. It is a wet locker, all right, so you can put wet bits in here. It's like some small drainage holes there, so if it is wet leads or something you're putting on there, it's not the end of the world. Outdoor gas point, okay. This is so we can use a gas barbecue without having to remove our gas bottles, okay. So we turn the tap to move it on, and we have a bayonet fitting, so we push this back and that will pop this bit out here. This is the bit that goes into your gas hose coming from your gas barbecue, all right. You leave that in there and every time you want to use it, you come in, plug that in, the lead will be coming off of there, and then we turn the gas on and we turn it off, all right. I'll put this in the book pack in your caravan, all right, just so that you know where that is in the red book pack, okay. 4 corner steadies, one on each corner. There's your corner steady winder here. We use the bolts here that we can wind the leg up and down, okay. What we must make sure we're doing before we do that though is leveling our caravan. That's front to back, left to right. We use wedges if we need to, left to right, over underneath one wheel to try and get it onto level. Front to back, we use the jockey wheel here. That will raise and lower the nose of the caravan, okay, until we get in a nice level position. Best to use some sort of spirit level or something like that inside the doorway. That way you know you are level, okay. They do sell special ones in the shop if you need to have a look at those, all right. But the caravan likes to be level, all right. Our fridge certainly likes to be level, and that's way you will get the best out of your caravan when you are on site. Here's our hitch here. We won't go too much into that now. We'll do a full hitch up with you when you pick up. A couple of things you need to know though. We're running on 13-pin electrics here, all right. So you need to make sure that you have a 13-pin socket on your car. If not, the acceptable adapter to move it from 7-pin to 13-pin, okay. We also have an Alco hitch head stabilizer here, so we do need to make sure we have an Alco compatible tow ball for the van, okay. That way it is the right spacing for that size of unit. It's just a normal tow ball, just slightly more spaced out to incorporate that large hitch head on the end, all right. If you have an existing tow ball, you need to make sure there's no grease on that tow ball, all right. Any grease that gets into the head of this will ruin this unit, okay. It has friction pads in there and it likes a nice rough surface to work against to stop the caravan from snaking, all right. And if you have a new tow ball, you do need to make sure you're sanding off the paint on the actual ball itself if it is painted black, so that we have bare metal. That way, again, it's not a smooth surface and it has something to grip onto and stop the snaking of the caravan. Water barrel here, there's my test water barrel we've got on the side. We've got everything working inside, so you'll need your water barrel, okay. The pump drops into the bottom of the caravan here, into the unit, all right, and then plugs into the side of the caravan, and then we push this down to 90 degrees. That way locks it into place and stops it coming out. Once we've got that, we're in a position to start priming the van up inside, all right. So we'll have a look at that when we get inside, but fill your water barrel up, drop your pump in, plug it into the side of the van, and the rest we do from inside. Next to it here is our boiler flue, all right. You have an Aldi boiler on board, which is can run on electric or gas. So this is the flue when we're running it on gas. So it will get quite warm around there, but a bit like you have at home. Nothing to really worry about, but that's where it is, okay. It's the flue for the boiler. Of course, we've also got gas on board as well, all right. So this is our gas locker just here. So we'll open that up and just have a quick look inside. You will need gas to make sure your van works properly. Bear with me, it's easily done with 2 hands. As you can see, we're set up for propane. We've got a propane bottle here. Again, this is my test bottle on here just to make sure everything's working properly. When we're travelling, make sure your bottles are tightly strapped in and our gas bottles are shut using the screw on the top of the gas bottle. Screw it down to close and up to open. Obviously, when we get to site, we want to come in here, open our gas bottle, and that will allow the gas to flow through our gas pigtail here, or our gas pipe, which screws in on an opposite thread into the side of the van, So not lefty loosey, righty tighty, it's the other way round. Okay, so we nip that up hand tight. There's a rubber seal on the end of this, so it's just a hand tight wheel, no spanners required for this one at all. That then goes into our bulkhead regulator here, which will turn the gas from the bottle into the working gas pressure for the van and send it through to all of our appliances. Okay, but the important bit is turn it off when we're travelling, and also strap them in. We don't want those flying around all over the place when we are travelling around. Okay, we talked about our fresh water going in. We also need to talk about our grey water coming out. Okay, so from our taps and from our shower, we have these two flaps here. So we open these up. Some gas, there'll be some there'll be some waste hose in the locker. I'll show you in a minute. That fits into these here. We drop those into our waste master that you will need on the floor here to collect our grey water as it comes out of the van. All right, and then once that's full, you take that to your service point on site and empty it. And again, once your fresh water is full, we take that to our water point and fill that up as well. Okay, coming around the back, grab handles on each corner. All right, our lights and everything on the back. This is where our number plate goes for the van. Okay, so that's where you need, we'll need a number plate to depict your car when you pick it up. And we have two other doors here, and this is our toilet. Okay, top one is our flush tank. So we have a separate water tank for the flush in our toilet, purely because we add chemicals to it. So we use a pink chemical. Again, you buy that in the shop. Okay, we dilute that with water and we fill this up with that pink fluid there. What that is a concoction of something that smells nice and also keeps the water pump and everything lubricated for your toilet flush. Once we have used the toilet, it needs to go somewhere. Okay, so that's going to come down into our toilet cassette down here. Okay, so a Thetford toilet cassette here. All right, when we want to empty it, lift up, pull this out. You can see we've got wheels on the bottom there. This handle is an extendable handle, so we can use it a bit like a suitcase at an airport. But when we come to empty it, we'll take it to the designated point on site to empty this. Okay, there'll be a designated point for that. Okay, we move this arm out to a degree like so, take the cap off the end. All right, and you'll see we have an orange button here. We press that, that will release the air pressure inside the unit. That way we can empty it down the service point. Okay, ready for when we want to use it again. Okay, once we've emptied it out, I would suggest use the hose that's there, rinse it out a little bit more, empty that out again, make sure we're getting all the dregs out of here. Okay, then once that is done, we need to re-prime the unit. The way we do that is we use a blue chemical on this one. Okay, slightly different chemical, much stronger, breaks everything down inside the unit. Okay, again, you dilute that slightly with water. That goes in here, and then that is job done. All right, again, the dilution that you need to use is on the bottle, but you'll soon get the hang of it, and just glug it around. All right, you can see here you can use this as a measuring cup as well. So once we've re-primed it, that goes back into here and slots back into place. One thing I would say is do make sure with the toilet paper that you're using that you use caravan toilet paper. Okay, it breaks down better, doesn't get all clogged up in there, so that is worth noting as well. When we finish using our caravan, we always want to make sure we're draining it down so we're not leaving anything in the toilet or in the flush tank. The way we drain our flush tank is we pull this little tube out from up here, take the stopper out the end, and that will drain our flush tank down. Okay, right, moving on around, you can see we have another locker in here. All right, in here we have a hitch cover. We have our tool for lowering the spare wheel down from inside one of the beds. We've also got an Alco wheel lock in there as well. Okay, and a jack. And this is the waste hose we were talking about that fits into the other side of the caravan and takes down our waste water. Mains electric power plugs into the side here. That's so we can have two 30-volt power coming into the van, which will allow us to use the likes of our domestic plug sockets, run our boiler on electric, and also our fridge and things like that as well. Okay, the van will operate without 240 volt, but that is running off the Leisure battery and then the gas side of things, so you can do sort of either or, whether you're plugged into mains or not. Next to that is a domestic plug socket. Okay, so that way we can have power out on the awning. Again, because that's a domestic socket, it's only operational when we are plugged into mains there. Okay, right, let's go inside and have a look. Right, once we're in the van, we need to start plumbing our water system through. Okay, now I've already done it on this van because we've been testing it, but you'll need to get your all your water pipes and your boiler full of water. Okay, because they will be empty when you first get to your van. So the first thing to do is come and shut all of the taps, all right? You'd have left those open, and I'll explain why later on. But come through, shut all the taps, all right? And make sure they're all closed. That way when we turn our water pump on, we're not spraying water everywhere. We also want to turn... That's the alarm going off, because I've set that earlier, all right? So what we do is we come in here and just press this button here. Right, so then we want to close our boiler drain valve, all right? You'll find that underneath the seat here. Here's our boiler, Audi boiler sitting under here. And we're looking for a yellow switch, okay, which is located just down there. You can see in the corner. Now you want that in the horizontal position, okay, to close it, in the vertical position to open it. So if it's poking up in the air, it's open, and if it's in line with the pipe, then it is shut. All right, so we want to make sure before we pump our water through that it's shut, otherwise it will just all pump down to ground. So that's that yellow switch just down there, all right, to the side of the boiler. Then what we want to do is come to our main panel, which is sitting here. Our main on-off button is this one here, okay? Our pump button is this one here, so we turn that one on as well. This one here does all of our lights, okay? You can see we can turn all the lights off in one go rather than having to find our individual switches. And this one here will do our awning light, just there, all right? So, then we want to start purging the system. Firstly, I'm going to turn my tap to hot, okay? And I'm going to turn the tap on. You can see I've got a nice steady flow of water here, but you won't get that. You'll get a load of coughing and spluttering, all right, as it pushes all the air out from inside the boiler, in all the pipes, out through the tap, all right? So we want to replace that air with water. So it will take a little bit of time, because obviously, I don't know, was that a 10, 12 litre boiler? So we need to fill that up from our Acrol outside with water all the way to the tap. Once you've got a steady flow of water like that, you know you've purged that system, okay? And then we go to our bathroom and do the same on the hot leg there as well. Okay, then what we're going to do is the same on the cold leg. All right, turn it to cold, open the tap up, wait till you get a nice steady flow of water. That will be much quicker with the cold because we're not filling a boiler up. And then once you've got a steady flow, all of your taps, you can turn it off and you purge the system. Even if you're not going to use your shower, still purge it, all right, because that is what we need to make sure there's no air in the system at all. Right, then what we need to do is to see how our panel works down here. So this is our Audi panel, all right, really simple to use, okay. On-off button is down here, okay, and what I would always suggest is if you turn this off before you turn off your mains when you finish with it, and then when you turn your mains on, then you can come and turn this one back on. Don't just turn it off from the mains and leave this, otherwise it can go into error sometimes. So whenever you're finished with it, and before you turn off your mains power, turn it off from here. Okay, then what we want to do is you can see we've got an internal temperature and an external temperature. Okay, so what I'm going to do is press that button there, and this will give us our main screen. Okay, so top one here is temperature inside the van, so I can change that purely by going through the touch screen. All right, and just setting whatever temperature I want, and then it'll kind of do the work for you once you've selected what power you want to use. The next one down below is our water, so I can either have that off. Okay, so that's the empty triangle, or I can have it on full hot water like so. All right, that's just normal setting. We'll heat the water up to about 60 degrees. If I press it again, that will fill the whole circle up. Triangle up. That is what I would call a boost setting. Okay, so it will override the heating for a while. So if you want to have a couple of back-to-back showers, you could do by pressing that button. It will cut the heated out, use all of its power just to heat the hot water. That way it's heating it up much quicker. All right, but do bear in mind when you are having a shower that you only have a certain amount of hot water in the boiler, and it will take a little bit of time to reheat. So just keep that in mind. It's not like a shower you'd have at home. All right, so it's a caravan shower, if you will. Anyway, so that will boost that for about, I think it's 15-20 minutes, something like that. I'm plugged into mains at the moment, so I can power my boiler on mains. All right, so I can either have it off, 1 kilowatt of power, 2 kilowatts of power, or 3 kilowatts of power. Depending on what site I'm on, I've got access to different amounts of power. Okay, so I know here's 2 kilowatts is fine. If you speak to your site warden or your reception, they'll tell you what sort of amperage you can be using. All right, but you'll soon figure it out if you keep tripping out your fuse board because you've got your heating running on 3 kilowatts, you've got your kettle going, you've got a hair dryer going. It's obviously going to be drawing too much current, so you might want to come and adjust that at one point. So if I was off grid though, I wouldn't have access to mains power, so I would come in here and just press the flame. All right, I'd have that on off and just the flame on. That is then going to just light my boiler on gas, okay, and just run it purely on the gas alone, and that will provide my heating and hot water. Obviously, providing, of course, I have turned on my gas bottle in the gas locker. All right. What I can also do as well is run it in conjunction with each other. So if it's really cold outside, you've got snow on the ground and you really want to heat it up in here, you can run it on gas and up to 3 kilowatts of electric as well in conjunction with each other. All right, I don't need to do that here. I know 2 kilowatts is fine for heating and my hot water. Okay, so that will tick along nicely. All right, and I'll still be able to use other things in the van.
2 to 3, the eastbound.
For some reason we've got the traffic news popping on there. There are more settings that you can go into, all right, set timers and all sorts of things like that, and priorities. There is a instruction manual in the book pack there if you want to go into more detail. I've never really bothered with that. I just want to know what temperature's in the van. Is my hot water on or is it off? Am I using electric or am I using gas? Okay, so that is all I kind of really worry about when I use this system, if I'm honest with you. All right, so that's that. Okay, and that's how we use our Aldi system. Okay, I think we know how to make the bed up. We use the cushions in here at the front and we pull our slats out from the middle there. They come all the way down and we use our back cushions as the infill in here to make the bed either side. Always sleep on the opposite side of these, all right? So on the grey side there, okay? And you always want to be flipping this mattress over. You can see you've got a bit of a bolster here. That needs to be over the other side with this upside down, all right? Right. All the windows open in the same way. Okay, we've got 4 locking mechanisms on this window, for instance. Move it open to the desired openness, if that's the right word. Okay, and then we just tighten it up using these screws at the end. Okay, and that will hold the window open. All right, and then we can shut it down as well. The windows do have a breather setting, so you can, in the middle just there, hopefully you can see, you can lock it still with the window open slightly, just to allow the airflow to come through the van as well. Every window opens as a blind fly screen, okay, and obviously all the windows have blinds as well, and that will black out the cabin. Radio sitting up here, okay, won't really teach you how to use a radio. Okay, so you've got the on off button just here where it says source, all right, and that's how we can change it. We've got an aux in, we've got a USB, we've got a CD player as well, all right, and the volume is just done from here. So I'm just going to turn that off. There we go. TV aerial in the cupboard here, directional TV aerial, okay, in the downwards position at the moment. In order to use it, we unscrew it, push it all the way up and lock it back into place with the locking nut. All right, that's now extended the aerial over the top of the van for our best type of signal. We can change the plane of the aerial is here by twiddling this here, just to try and get ourselves a better signal if we need to. Not forgetting, of course, when we finished, we need to make sure we're pulling that down so we don't take trees out with us when we are driving down the road. That goes into a booster box over here, all right. On off switch it is on the top corner, but just leave it on, it will turn on and off with your mains. Okay, and we have a gain switch here. Again, I just leave that on full and it will just then always be as powerful as it needs to be. Okay, small coffee table here. Okay, that pulls out and locks into place, and we've also got 2 drawers. This is where you will find your book pack, in the drawer here. Okay, just make sure we're not missing anything. Okie dokie. So that's pretty much how it all works up front here. We've got a TV aerial socket here, a 12 volt, 2 power domestic power sockets there, another domestic power socket over here. All right, individual reading lights, they're all individually switched, and we have for our lounge lighting just here. Okay, skylight, push button, pull back. You can lock it into different places as well, but of course has a blind and a fly screen also. Right, that's pretty much it for the lounge area, I think. So let's have a look at our kitchen quickly. We've already talked about the tap, so mixer tap, hot and cold water coming from here. All right, that's been on for a while now, so that's nice and hot, that's good. We also have a cooker here, gas cooker. All right, when we're traveling, let's make sure that the glass lid is firmly down. All right, we have seen these come off in transit if they're left in the upright position and smashed on the floor, so very important that we make sure that that is left in the downwards position. 3 gas, 1 electric. Okay, electric is only operatable when we are plugged into mains and have 240 volt power. Okay, you can tell when that's on because we have a red light. the gas side of stuff, I won't teach you to use that. We've got the igniter here. All right, hold down and press, and there we go, a nice steady flame coming from there as well. Making sure that this is up before we light it as well, and that probably sounds obvious, but just bear that in mind. We have a gas grill, okay, that's depicted by the shaded area at the top. All right, again, lights in exactly the same way. There we go. And we also have an oven as well, which is gas, lights at the back there, and we just set to the gas mop that we want, and then we are cooking. Once with the gas, always make sure that we're turning everything off before we finish with it. Okay, more storage down the bottom there, more cupboards down here as well. Gas isolators are down here. If you do need to isolate a certain unit, you can do. You shouldn't need to, but it does tell you what they all do. Okay, so if you do need to isolate a bit of equipment, that's where you'll do it from. Okay, fridge. Above the fridge is our battery solar panel charger unit. Okay, so you've got a solar panel on the roof which is charging your Leisure battery, which is sat underneath here. Okay, so that is charging that and trickle charging it and keeping it in good working order. Again, that battery there, second-hand battery, we leave them on because we can't leave live terminals coming from the solar panel. So to keep an eye on that battery, we can't guarantee it, but it is there for your use and it will last as long as it lasts. But hopefully it does seem to be holding charge at the moment, no problem at all. Right, in the fridge, three-way fridge, large fridge with a freezer section at the top. Okay, this has been on overnight, so you can see we've got nice frozen water in there, which is great. We'll put the hot water on that and just to get rid of that. Okie dokie. Right, the way this works then, okay, I've got it running on gas at the moment, you can see that there. All right, the way we know it is it's shown there. Also, this is in the green. Okay, so if that was in the white, then that would say it's not lit. That's how we know it's lit on gas. The way we light it is we hold this down, that will keep your gas flow going. Okay, and then the igniter is that one there. All right, and we just hold those two down until this goes up into the green area. All right, so I'll just show you how that works. So I'm giving it enough time to not light. Right, okay, so you can see that's falling back now into the white area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hold this one down and this one. Easier said than with one hand. There we go. There she goes. So it is easier with two hands. All right. So just wait till it's in the green, hold it for a little bit longer, and there it is. Next setting down is the battery setting. Now that's when we're plugged into our car. We can maintain the temperature in the fridge from our car. Won't chill it down, but we'll maintain the temperature. Okay. So you can flick it over to that when you're plugged into your car, and it will do that for you as long as you've got the right electrics to do it. I'm plugged into mains now, so I'm just going to put it over to the little picture of the plug. All right, that will tell me that we are on 240 volt, and that will just use the fridge on that side of things. Okay, and we can completely turn the fridge off all the way up to the top there. All right, here, this one, as well as our gas flow, this is also our temperature for the fridge. Now I would suggest always having it on about 3/4, never all the way to the top. It does perform better for some reason when it's not quite all the way to the top, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, just twist it, okay, and then that will how we change the temperature in the fridge. Underneath here is our main power unit, okay, consumer unit. So 12 volt side stuff from our battery is all here. You can see it's all labelled down there, so if you do need to change a fuse, that's where you come to. Okay, these ones here are our main breakers for the van, okay, when we're on 240 volt, when we're plugged in. Okay, so this is our main RCD. This one does all our domestic sockets. This one's for our heater and boiler, and this one's for our battery charger. Okay, so when we're plugged into mains, we're always charging our battery. If you can't get your domestic power sockets to work, or your fridge won't, stay working on 240 volt, you might want to test and see if your power coming to the van is actually working properly. 9 times out of 10, that is the problem. We have a little button here which says T on it, just there. Okay, if we press that and this trips out, this drops to the bottom, that tells us we've got power coming to the unit, so all is fine from our power source. However, if you press it and it stays in the upwards position, that means there's no power coming to the unit, so you need to check where you're plugged into. All right, they do have switches on them as well sometimes, or breakers on them, on site or speak to your site warden, but that is a telltale sign whether it's working or not. Okay, moving to the back here. All right, we've got our beds with storage underneath. All of our carpets are underneath that one there. Okay, this one takes us to our locker that we saw from the outside. Okay, again, individual reading lights. These ones with USB sockets for charging our devices, our phones and things like that as well. We also have a light switch up here. This does our downlighters in the bedroom. Okay, TV bracket here, all right, which will come out into position when we need it and will fold out. Okay, and we can watch that from either in the lounge or from in our bedroom there. Always making sure this is locked into place when we're traveling so it doesn't bounce around all over the place, and your sockets and everything are up there for it. Concertina door comes across on a magnet, all right, so we can separate out these two areas at night if we wish to. Coming into the bathroom, okay, here's one of our radiators. Again, as I said, we've got Aldi heating system, so it's wet central heating. So you've got radiators going down the side of the vans and one in here as well. Okay, here's our toilet. All right, so our flush tank is sitting in the top here. We looked at that from the outside, and our toilet cassette sits down in here. Okay, so once we use the toilet, we use it in the normal way. This does all move around to make us more comfortable if we wish to. All right, so we use the toilet, then we flush it by pressing this button here. Okay, what that will do is then pump stuff from off. That's empty at the moment, so it will fill up with the pink fluid from our flush tank. We then use the lever here, which will open the gate into the cassette. Okay, so we push that all the way over to one side. Okay, that opens the gate, everything falls down into there, then we have to lock that back up again, and that creates the seal down into our cassette. So you do want to make sure that that is all the way over, okay, for a couple of reasons. One, obviously we want to contain everything in the unit, and when we come to empty the unit, if that's not all the way over, you won't actually be able to remove the unit from the locker that it's in. Little light here, this will come on when it tells you it's time to empty our toilet cassette. All right, so don't ignore that, because otherwise you make a right old mess in the locker. Again, mixer taps and everything in here, all right, are all working, and our shower here as well. I'll just put that back up in here. Your skylight up there as well, you can open that in different angles by squeezing the handles here, okay, to get the steam out when we are showering. Also, you want to make sure you're shutting your door when you're traveling, so that's not banging around all over the place. Light switch is there. And in this cupboard here, all right, you have your Aldi fluid tank. All right, this will jump in between minimum and maximum depending if it's in use. All right, but that's what we want it to be in between those two there. Okay, and also this is our table here. All right, so a freestanding table for your dining area as well, and a laundry bin sitting in there. Right, that's kind of it really. What we'll just quickly do is just do a shutdown of the van, just so that you know how that works. All right, we can basically, when we finished our holiday, right, we want to come in, turn everything off. All right, then we want to turn off our fridge. I'm going to do that here. What you may well do is put it onto that setting there, okay, for when you're traveling. In fact, what I should have done is turn my Aldi panel off first and then turned off my main switch. So let's just do that. It's just a good habit to get into. There we go. And I'm going to turn off my mains. Once I've done that, I'm going to open my boiler drain valve. Okay, we know where that is, situated next to my boiler. Okay, that's down here. So I'm going to put that into the upright position. Okay. And that is now letting all the water from this boiler drain down to the ground, okay, and from the water system itself. And then leave my taps open. The reason I'm doing this is I want the air to travel back down through the pipes, okay? If one example, you want to leave it between hot and cold as well, that will allow the air down the hot and the cold leg of the system. So you do that in there, do it in here, okay? Do it in your shower as well. That way, if you give one example, if you've got water, all these pipes full of water and they freeze in the winter, okay, water expands, can end up cracking taps. We see that a lot. Split pipes and connections, and the next time you come to turn your water on, you'll have water coming out from your taps or down through the floor. Not what we want at all, okay? So just bear that in mind. Good practice. Drain everything down. Toilet flush, drain the boiler, and open all of our taps. Okay. Okay, then what we're going to do is start to shut the van down. You can see here, we can see all of our water draining down, all right, out of our boiler system. I'm then going to remove my water pump from the side, lift it up, give it a good old shake off, and I'm going to put that in the locker with all the other bits and pieces at the back of the van here, where we store all of our stuff. You're then going to want to stow away your Wastemaster and your Aqua Roll. Okay, a lot of people put them in the shower or somewhere like that, but you'll come up with your own ways of doing things. All right, stow everything away, and then you will be good to go pretty much. All right, obviously turning off our gas as well, very important before we travel, and making sure that it's all strapped in. So we're going to come here, turn the gas bottle off from the top. This is my test bottle, so I'm actually going to remove it from the van completely. All right, so on my opposite thread, there we go. Right, there we go, and then we remove that bottle from there. What we'll do for you is a full demonstration of the motor mover when you pick the van up, okay? So don't panic too much about that. We'll do a full hitch up with you as well. I'm also going to remove my mains power cable. Now my colleague has already given me the nod to say he's unplugged it from his end. What you don't want to be doing is walking around with a live cable in your hand. That's the important bit, all right? So plug it into your post first, then plug it into your van, and vice versa when you're putting your van up for you, all right? You would then get your handle here, all right, wind up all of your legs, okay, that way we're free flowing, and then we will then look at the motor mover. So we'll have a look at that when you pick the van up, but that is how your caravan works. That is your Bailey Cadiz. I hope that's been useful. Again, we're on the end of the phone, anything you need at all. Many thanks.